Welcome to the King's Court. Today we got the next deck profile for the channel. It's going to be on a fellow member of the channel's deck, his Aplhamon deck. Want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Michael, the King of the Court.
Oh, God.
Yeah, this is Aplhamon, one of my favorite Digimon, and currently probably the best deck of the format. It's that or Metal X. And for that, we need another member of the channel to bring that profile, but today we'll show off my alpha list.
Be prepared for the next deck profile. So, you've been having a really good winning streak with this deck at our locals, haven't you?
Yeah, so we've had about 4 tournaments so far. I've gone first with this deck.
Well, we've had 4 official tournaments.
Yeah, if we're counting unofficial, then I've actually gone first about 4 times with this deck. And second twice, only losing to the person ahead of me. And some very weird matchups, so...
You want to give the people a little breakdown of the decks we played against?
So, currently, I feel the only deck I don't like against this deck with is Mastamon, and it's only because I don't like Chaos Degradation.
Who likes Chaos Degradation?
Mastamon players, obviously.
Mastamon players don't even like it. Is that the only way they can do?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things, that's the real problem with the deck. I mean, Mastamon has combos, have we seen, but this is all about alpha today.
Alrighty, so let's get to the deck profile.
Alrighty.
Start off with the Aggies?
Yeah.
Want to give a look switch white Tantamon's here?
Oh, yeah. So, he's my little memory boy.
Nice.
Currently my favorite from the original Digimon. Hercules Kabuterimon X looks spicy, so maybe eventually there'll be a deck profile of him in the future.
Everybody look forward to that one. We got a ton of decks coming in with future members of the channel.
Yeah. Alright, so for our eggs, we only play 4 of the same one, and that is 4 of Doraemon.
Alright, want to give a little explanation on this one?
So Doraemon gives the inheritable. During your turn, once per turn, if you add a card to his Digivolution Sources, you draw a card. So automatically, you're gaining cards back, basically equalizing what you add. But in this deck, you're doing that a lot. 5 eggs never comes up. 4 is just fine, and honestly, realistically, you don't need more than that. And once you go up the chain, he's pretty much the best one to go with.
If you're ever going to play 5 eggs, what would be the 5th one?
I can't remember the name of the card, but it's a Digimon. If you add a card to sources, it gains 1k DP. But Ouryuken already is 16k, 17 with Ouryuken, so he isn't really dying to much.
Pokemon?
Pog!
Alright, on to the rookies. Let's go.
So for our first rookie, we're playing 4 of the most important rookie, which is 4 of Dorumon.
Alright, Doraemon.
So he is on play, look top 3, add a card with the X antibody in its traits, and Kota. The card is important. I used to play the X antibody option card. I don't play it in the current build. I might go back to it. So you could add that. And Kota is our memory set tamer, which I will get to later. So you get 2 cards. But the reason he is one of the most important cards in the deck is because during your turn, when you put a card in his sources once per turn as an inheritable, he gives you back a memory.
Nice. Would you say he's you always want to see him at the beginning of the game?
Yeah, you definitely want to Digivolve on top of him. It's not the end of the world if you don't have him as your rookie going first, but you much prefer it. And comboing with a level 5 later, or 2 of our level 5s actually, he gives you a lot of advantage because of it.
Nice.
And now another 4 is 4 of the Dorumon from BT9.
Want to give a little explanation on this card?
So he's a very easy effect to remember. He is trash 1 card in my hand with X antibody, draw 2 cards. So he's already a very good card. He pretty much equalizes, you cycle. But with no inheritable, he really just adds cards. I mean, he is good to Digivolve into a Ouryuken and then Dex if you need to quickly cycle even more. His effect only really didn't come up as much, and that's because I'm not playing as many of the BT9 alpha. And so because of that, we're really not attaching from trash as much. So it's kind of a awkward thing where we're not getting his effect most often.
You're thought about cutting him down to 3?
I might do that in a future build. But for right now, he was at 4. He actually worked out pretty well.
Nice.
Our final rookies are 2 Ryutamon.
Where the alternate arts.
Come on, dude. I'm trying to be budget, and this deck was barely budget.
We already got student loans.
Yeah, you're right. Not anymore. So Ryutamon is basically like Doru, but instead of searching Kota, he searches Yuji, which is another tamer. And his inheritable gives Decoy, which it doesn't come up if he Digivolve on top of him first, but it comes up in a weird way, which I'll explain later.
Nice.
So that is our rookie lineup. We play 10 rookies.
Are you happy with 10 rookies?
I might want to put it up more, but at the moment this is what worked, and I actually really like the ratio.
All right, on to the champs.
If anything, I would change maybe certain ratios of rookies, but I think 10 is a good number.
I can see that.
So for our first champions, we are playing Ouryuken.
Want to give an explanation to the people who are new to the deck?
So he costs 2 Digivolve for a champion. If you have another X antibody on field, he becomes a blocker. So that's nice. This is why I say if you have the Dorumon and when you go Alpha turn, you can drop this on the field to end your turn with Alpha after you use his Memory Burst effect, which is what I call it, for a 2k block for another blocker. And Inheritable, he gives your X antibody all turns 1k. So like for example, for you, Gaiomon has to be at least 17k to crash into Alpha, 18k to beat over.
Oh
and
my God.
That is hard to do for Gaio. It's easy to get to that number, but to do it again is very hard.
Oh my God, don't even get me started. It's the reason you beat me.
Then, because we also are edgy boys here, we do play 4 of the corrupted Dex Ouryuken. So Dex Ouryuken is, if you don't know, he costs 3 Digivolve on top of Rookie. But if you Digivolve on top of regular Ouryuken, can you see it?
You can see it.
If you Digivolve on top of regular Ouryuken, he only costs 0. And then his evolution effect is you can trash a card in your hand to gain back a memory. So he's basically a +1 to memory.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, if you Digivolve from the trash or on top of Ouryuken, he gains a blocker and retaliation, and that goes up your entire stack.
Nice.
So you can make an Aplhamon or Ouryuken with blocker and retaliation. So a 17k blocker essentially for some decks is really hard to deal with.
17k. Jesus.
That's how I did beat Metal Garurumon X, because I had blocker retaliation on Ouryuken with Breath of the Gods to bring it back.
And that's one of your tougher matchups because they just bounce everything.
Yeah, but that's why we have to play certain option cards, and why I don't hate the matchup, but it's a matchup that I don't like playing as often. But we have a friend who plays it, so it's very easy to test the matchup.
Like I said, look forward to that.
And our final champion is the main man, Grumplemon.
I hate this card so much.
It's time to get ready to grumble.
Oh my God, I hate this little troll.
Hybrid for game, the basic example.
I play Omnimon, I'm on the talk.
There are times where you can, weirdly enough, go, if you have an extra coda, you can go on top of this, you can go this, you can waste your hybrid to go this.
You cheese it for game.
Or you go that, or you do Doru Gray on top of this, and you build your Aplhamon stack this way. It's not recommended. I don't think it's the best option, but it's there. It has come up once, but more often than not, it comes up of just hybriding for game.
You have it with just one?
I could see it going up, but for right now, 1 is fine. I might take another one, but the only problem is I don't like seeing more than 1, because when you do Dorumon or Ryudomon and you look top 3, add a X antibody, and you pick 2 of these, you're not really getting anything.
Okay. All right.
Now we're in level 5s or ultimates, whatever you want to call it.
Time for the ultimates.
And most people who play Aplhamon will agree the best one in the deck and the best card in the deck is Doru Greymon.
All right, we got to get this out for the people new to Aplhamon.
Yeah, so there is a chance, because of the Japanese restriction list, that they hit this to 1. But for those of you who are really worried about it, remember, Japan plays a best-of-1 format, so it's a lot more high roll to play the 1 Doru Grey. Over here, I don't think they'll play it. I don't think they'll hit that list, but if they do, we have options, which I'll explain later.
So you got ideas for the future of this deck?
Yeah.
Do you think this deck could still compete with Crossheart coming out?
It will be hard to say. Like, Crossheart's very strong, and this deck will be strong even without the 1 Doru Grey, the 3 Doru Greymons afterwards. But you're definitely much more wanting the 4 Doru Grey. So his effect is on Digivolve, you can place a card with X antibody and its traits underneath him to make him immune to DP reduction and being deleted by effects.
Wow.
So against, like, say, some matchups, like if we were playing this deck during, say, Yellow Hybrid format where all they did was DP reduce, you could pretty much get around that. And he can't be deleted, no Gaia Force, no nothing. He was able to swing in most often for not for game.
Okay, nice.
But he can still be returned to security, he can still be bounced, so unfortunately that's not the best thing. And the inheritable is if you have X antibody, gain security attack +1. Now, when we were talking about combos earlier, it's because combining.
Mm-hmm.
So if we were talking about a few cards earlier. I like to call these 3 cards your advantage engine. Because by applying Dory Gray with these 2 in the sources, you're drawing a card, you're gaining a memory, which effectively means Dory Gray only costs 2 to Digivolve into.
Only 2. Wow.
Yeah, essentially he only costs 2, which is why I really, really like this engine.
So this deck can be really hard to deal with sometimes.
Yeah, even giving 1 memory is tough. You honestly want the 3, and sometimes you'll get more than 3 memory with this deck. But you can pretty much get into alpha pretty easily without having to pass turn.
Speaking of alpha.
Well, not yet. We still have a few more level 5s.
Oh, okay.
Afterwards, we play another corrupted version in 3 deck Dory Gray.
Want to give a little explanation on this one?
Yeah, so he Digivolves on top of Dory Gray for 1.
For 1.
Yeah, so, and then you can trash an X antibody in your hand to gain 1 memory. And then if you Digivolve from the trash or Dex Dory Gray, you can pop your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon.
You just pop them, huh? Free?
Yeah.
Nothing?
Yeah, so a lot of people like to play the Chumon or the Gazimons that prevent, or even Madoki Beta that prevent memory recovery. So the way it works is that you can go on Digivolve, declare the effect to pop, and then declare the effect to gain a memory.
Mm.
And it's another card that you can burst for Aplhamon's skill. And our final level 5 is a tech, which is Greydmon.
How are you liking this so far?
I like it more for its inheritable. I almost never Digivolve into it for the main reason I have I've had it where I've had him in hand, but I've had this chain.
Mm.
So it's like, this is good, but this is better.
He's just like a in case sort of thing?
Yeah, so Greydmon's effect is on Digivolve. You look top 3, you can add an alpha, and then put a X antibody underneath him, and then trash the rest. So that's pretty good.
It's not bad.
And then inheritable, at the end of the attack, you have Aplhamon under as the name. You can delete your opponent's level 5 or lower play cost 5 or less Digimon.
It's pretty good.
So if your opponent has another, some I've had fields where people do play double memory blocker. So having this when you X antibody is pretty nice to get rid of it.
All right, time for the big guy.
Big guys. Excuse me.
Good.
So first we're playing 1 BT9 Alpha, the Altar. I would say I would probably have to put this up maybe 1 or 2 more.
We only like pretty cards here.
Yeah, so you don't know what his effect is. On Digivolve, you may place a X antibody card from your trash to underneath his sources. So you're already getting something. If you didn't trigger Doremon or Dory, but they'll trigger anyway by then, you can gain memory draw. But once per turn, when a card is added to his sources, you can trigger D-Digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon.
Nice.
And that is very big in certain matchups where they have a big card. I've had it where they had only, say, a blocker, but it was only a blocker if they had the certain Digimon on top. So this was very important. And
Nice.
It keeps the memory good. And he only costs 3. Next we play 2 of BT6 Aplhamon. Now, so on attack, you can pay any number of memory to make him gain 1k for each. But then on the end of the attack, you gain back 2 memory. So you can pay none and gain back 2. Some people don't know his attack gain is actually for the whole turn. So if you paid 2 to give him 2k, he'll be 13k if you have Ouryuken to swing again. So he'll be 13k and you'll just gain 2 more memory.
Oh, okay.
But his real good effect is he's in security.
It's so difficult to deal with.
If he gets flipped in security, you can add him to hand. But if there's an X antibody anywhere on the field, you can target your opponent's Digimon up to 13 and they can't swing. So, because we're playing in a format where there are a lot of X antibody cards, that effect actually is really relevant.
That makes a lot of sense. I've run into that thing so many times.
So, and because that carries on, you could say, for example, for him, he likes to go. Oh, we'll actually go Metal Garurumon. We'll go Metal Garurumon X, for example. If they have this, if this was a final card check in security, you can target Metal Garurumon X, and they can't swing again with it. And that also means they can't Blitz Omni.
Oh, they can't?
No, because you're targeting an opponent's Digimon, and it cannot attack players for the rest of the turn.
Oh, you're right.
Our another level 6 is 3 Ouryuken. Or as I like to call it, you never want to Digivolve into him.
Never,
Because he doesn't really have his effect is okay. Is when, of course, when you Digivolve, you may place a card X antibody on your underneath him, and then basically delete something play cost 7 or less, and that's fine. But honestly, you really don't want that because you just care about his inheritable, which is once per turn, if you have an Aplhamon at the end of the attack, unsuspend.
Nice.
And he does really good for the boss monster, and it costs 4. So obviously, you'd rather only play the 3 than play the 4. You can play 4 of these, but I like 3. I would probably try the 4th one if I had the 4th one, but 3 works fine. And of course, it would not be an Aplhamon list if it wasn't for the best card in the deck, essentially.
Oh, my
3
goodness.
Aplhamon Ouryuken.
My God, this card.
If you don't know about this card, it is probably one of the strongest cards in the game. I know he's a play cost 7, but this is where a certain level 6 come in handy. If you were to Digivolve into him, if you have any of our great leader of the Royal Knights, Aplhamon, and you have any of them with an Ouryuken as the source, instead of costing 7, Ouryuken only costs 3.
That is just messed up.
Now, what exactly makes Ouryuken so good in this deck? Well, for one thing, when you Digivolve into him, you get to blow up all your opponent's Digimon at the highest play cost. Notice, it said all of them. So if your opponent has like 2 level 12s, you can pop that. Or 2 play cost 12s, you pop that. And then it's this end of turn effect. That is probably one of the best cards, the best effects in the game, and why we play certain cards more often. End of turn, you may return any number of non-egg X antibody cards to the bottom of your deck. For each one you return, you gain you have to put back up to 7. But you gain back a memory for each one you return. Now, this is where if I was playing the X antibody option card, you can return that. You can return the dexes. You return basically everything. You return Ouryus you've used already. And you basically can get another turn. You can actually... That's how I beat my green hybrid matchup this weekend. I would just keep using... Because they never had a memory tamer, so I just kept using Ouryuken skill to put the memory back to 1. So if they played JP or tried Digivolve, that would be the end of their turn.
That's mean.
And again, 16k, 17 with Dorugumon underneath. For 2 checks with Ouryuken for haven't swung yet, pretty much is guaranteed going in because there aren't many things that get over 17k.
This is devastating.
And that's how I've won a lot of games. I actually won a game where I swung with Ouryuken twice, or 2 times, and we actually had Yuji to put the other 2 underneath to swing for 3 total checks for 3 times.
Don't you feel special?
I do.
Jeez. All right.
The privilege. Now we're done. Now that's all our Digimon. So we're going to go into Tamers next. And we're going to start with, when I say the most important Tamer, I'm not hyperbole. He is the most important Tamer in the deck, and that is for Cool Boy.
No explanation necessary.
If you don't know, he's on play, look top 3, added X antibody option, and Digimon with X antibody.
That's pretty much what this whole deck is.
And then, when you Digivolve to a Digimon at the same level, you can tap him, draw 1, gain a memory. So that's when I say the dex line is extremely important.
Yeah.
Plus, being a 2-cost tamer is really good for passing turn on 1. Really sucks though when you have like 3 and your opponent decides they're just going to Black or Grim on you.
I know, it's great.
Then we play 2 of the other tamers, 2 Yuji and 2 Kota.
You like this lineup?
Yeah, it's fine. Maybe 3-2 is fine to this, but this worked fine. So, Yuji, if you played earlier in the format, he's a bond tamer.
Hmm.
When you promote an X antibody to the battle area, you draw one and gain a memory. And then when your X antibody Digimon swings, you can tap Yuji and put an X antibody underneath to the bottom of the sources from your hand.
Gotcha.
So, Aplhamon, you can swing an Aplhamon, and then put this under an Ouryuken underneath, and you'll be able to get more back.
Makes
Plus
sense.
triggering sources as well.
That's always nice.
And Kota is a memory tamer, so he sets a memory to 3 if we're at 2 or less before the turn starts. And then, when on play, you look top 4 and add an X antibody.
No explanation necessary.
Luckily, both our searchers, Dorumon and Ryutamon, both searched these out.
Nice.
So we're getting constant pieces.
That's all the tamers?
That's all our tamers. We only play 8 tamers.
Alright, on the options.
So, because we want to keep getting pieces, 2 black memory boosts.
Again, no explanation necessary.
Plus, this does extend turn. We can use this, go Aplhamon or Ouryuken for 1, so we don't have to we don't have to put cards more back. And this is look top 4 out of black. So if we also want to search for tamer.
Again, it's a memory boost. Doesn't really need a lot of explaining.
Yeah. And then our final options are my choices, but you can either up or lower the ratio. 2 Congo and 2 Breath of the Gods. And these are both very matchup specific.
Obviously, the Kongu for Mastamon.
Mastamon and hybrid decks. Because if you don't know what Kongu does, you play it. Cards cannot be added to security stacks, and then your opponent's Digimon play cost 7 or less cannot attack to the end of the turn. Their turn. There was a person out of locals who tried to say this doesn't work because you're not adding to the... Because they thought you can't add cards to your own security stack. No, you can't add card security stacks in general.
It's an important rule to remember.
And now, Breath of the Gods.
I thought about teching that.
So, if you don't know what it does, you target one of your Digimon, it will gain Reboot. And then it cannot have its DP reduced or be put back into the hand or deck. And this is important for the Metal Garurumon X matchup and Imperial Dramon. Because it sucks if you try to swing into Imperial Dramon security and you get hit with Megadeth.
That's always the worst.
I should know as I play Imperial.
Not that kind of Megadeth. Oh yeah, get ready, you guys. Imperial Dramon deck next.
So when I played against Imperial Dramon or Armor Rush, one of the 2 decks, I think it was Armor Rush I played, our buddy Bozy. When I won the 2 games against him, I actually had this in hand, and the first card I checked each time was Megadeth.
Borbozy, another member of the channel. He'll be here eventually.
The queen.
Soon. Yeah, I guess you call him the queen of the channel.
because he likes his Starbucks.
It's all right.
So that's why the current card this lineup is. You could drop either one of these down to 1. You could boost 1 up. I think 2/2 is fine. Again, you're gonna see it.
For like our area specifically, 2 Kong is probably the better idea.
Yeah. So both security effects are actually really good. This one you get to activate the main, and then this one you get to basically tell your opponent they can't swing directly for the rest of the turn. So if they're going like say Blitz Omni or they go Wargrim on X, and this is the first card in their check, if they have enough to go Blitz Omni, they can't Blitz Omni.
All right. So that's all your option cards, right?
Yep.
All right, that's the deck, guys. So, Michael, want to give a few any last minute explanations on the deck?
It's a good deck. It's a bit intensive on the head when you're trying to play it. I would say if anything, if you're learning the deck, just take time. Make sure you know what you're adding, what you're doing.
Anytime you play a new deck, it's going to take time.
Always constantly remember, Cool Boy will gain you pieces. So if you have the option to play Cool Boy early, do it. Especially because if you don't open up a rookie and you open up a Cool Boy, going Cool Boy to get a rookie is actually not bad because you're getting pieces. We're in a format where you can stay in raising for a while, so it's not bad. It's pretty good.
All right. Now, before we go, you want to give a last minute what the people should expect from the channel from us?
So we'll be adding gameplay soon. We'll be adding more deck profiles. We just recently, of course, added in a couple new decks to our repertoire.
We're also going to be bringing other members of the channel in soon.
So get ready. We have a few decks already built that are coming in. We are going to probably show off a Machine Dramon deck profile.
We got a lot of decks, and pretty soon we're also going to start bringing some other games we play. Probably going to bring them next. We're going to work on our Yu-Gi-Oh decks soon too. So everybody be ready if you like Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
All right, Michael. Thanks for being here, and everybody look forward to seeing more in the future.
And with that, we pass the turn to you.
Like, subscribe. Take care. Bye.